Hello and welcome back to the Summoner's Guide to Final Fantasy XIV. This time we are taking on the 4-player dungeon from patch 5.3, the Hero's Gauntlet. By this point, I really hope you shouldn't care about this, but I am going to warn you, I'm going to have to talk a little spoilers for this. So if you're concerned about that, come back later. Part of me really loves this dungeon, though this was always an annoyance when it showed up in the duty roulette, because it tends to be a little slower paced than a lot of the other dungeons in Shadowbringers. But it is the most epic in scope, or one of the most epic in scope of all the dungeons in existence, in my opinion. This is not so much a dungeon as a quest, completely across all of the lands of Norvrandt. So we start here in Amarang, and we're fighting against all of the spectral heroes from other worlds that Elidibus has brought forth. And again, these trash pulls tend to take a lot longer than trash pulls in other dungeons in Stormblood, even at higher gear levels. So just be aware, some of these are going to take a while to burn down. Fortunately, you can kind of tell what role each of these are, because a lot of these have character classes. So Paladin, of course, is the tank, and therefore is going to be the hardest to kill. So I usually focus my AoEs around him and let the fall off of the AoEs hit everybody else. As you can see, they still all went down before the Paladin. And of course, throughout all of this, I mean, this is very much a story-driven dungeon, which is why I said it's very spoilerific. Throughout all of this, everybody who you've helped out along the way in Norvrandt is going to be returning the favor by assisting you in this dungeon. And that means you're going to have a lot of allies in the fight, which is a blessing and a curse. Because if you're playing on a controller like me, and just trying to use the smart aiming on the controller really likes, unless you change your targeting settings, really likes to target the allies, so you're going to be... It's going to take a little longer to select the target you want in this dungeon, which is another reason why I find it annoying. So I really like the scope of this dungeon and the importance to the story. I just never like to see it show up in the expert roulette back when this actually was in the expert roulette, because it's a little more annoying than Anamnesis and Niner or the upcoming Matoya's Relict. All right, first boss has some fun little tricks to worry about. Not too difficult, but you gotta watch out for a few things here. Alright, when he puts down that marker, it means he's gonna move to that location before he makes the attack. So you don't want to, not only do you not want to be in it's not so much you don't want to be in where the attack AoE is. You want to be where the attack AoE is going to be when he moves to that location. Now later on, he's going to put down 2 markers, which means he's going to split and attack in 2 different places. So you just need to watch what the AoE is going to look like, then watch where it's going to move to, and position yourself accordingly. Alright, as you can see, he's going to do a line AoE, and he's going to do it in 2 columns there, so get into the 3rd column there. Again, don't concern yourself where the AoE is right now. That's just to tell you what the shape of it's going to be. Use the arrows to determine where those shapes are going to land. Alright, so now he's going to go to the 2 corners, get to the other 2 corners. And that's it. You've pretty much seen everything you need that is going to come up in this fight. Just, the biggest thing, especially as a caster, is just watching where those AoEs are going to drop, and just understand where you see them is not necessarily where they're going to resolve. Alright. Over here is safe. This portal will take you to Ilmeg. My brain is slipping. What is the name of this region again? Ilmeg is the name of this region, the Fairyland. I take it I'm not, but by the chat log, I'm not the or. There is an actual new player in here, and not a fake new player like me. Now, we don't actually go through every area, but a lot of them. And again, these paladins, bane of my existence. So I'll just use Bane. Haha! On their existence! Okay, yes, that was a bad joke, but hey. Okay. As you can see, as we're in Ilmeg, Feoul/Titania is providing their support. And we got some new Mo, we got some Amaro helping out. This is a super cool fan service, says NeoWorm. Yeah. Patch 5.3 is basically fan service. Patch 5.3 is probably, I think, the best single patch in the entire game. Good story, good content. I've said on more than one occasion, they could have ended all of Final Fantasy XIV on patch 5.3. and people would have been satisfied with the way the story ended. Of course, they decided to go on, and I'm grateful for that. But legitimately, they could have ended the story with 5.3, and I would not have complained. except for not having any more gameplay. Alright, second dungeon. There's some fun little mechanics in this one. We're fighting a necromancer. So you know corpses are going to be part of this whole gig. Always forget about that cone AoE. Try to stay close to the necromancer. Alright, when these weird little portal thingies show up, that's where the first mechanic you're going to have to worry about is. You're going to get these zombies tethered to you. You can stack them up. It really doesn't make any difference. Once they go down, get away from them, because they're going to AoE in a moment. Did I get out of that? Yes, I did. Alright, now, of course, we have considerably less of the arena to work with. Now, these work a little differently. You're going to want to spread out, because these guys are going to tether to you, and they're going to hold you in place until they explode. So you don't want to be close to anybody else lest you get caught in multiple explosions. Alright, now the fun part. You're going to see both mechanics. So you're going to start with these, and then you're going to see alright, so now that one drops, and then that one will go. As long as you're not in the radius of 2 explosions, you should be just fine. In retrospect, I probably should have tried to position myself a little closer so I could actually continue attacking during that. But your main concern is surviving. Again, not terribly difficult. That's... none of these are what I want. Alright, so now we move from Ilmeg to Lakeland. Now, I've heard a rumor, I've never actually seen it happen, but I've heard that if you've completed the Hildebrand quests, you can see there's a cameo appearance by Hildebrand in one of these encounters you see over to the side. He apparently doesn't appear all the time. And it's only if you completed all the Hildebrand quests, which I have not done on Violet. I've only done that on my main. Oh, wait a minute. No, I've done it on Violet, because I did the trial. So yeah, actually I have done it on this character. Been so long because, again, there was no new Hildebrand content in the 5.x series for good reason, because most of it takes place on the first, and Hildebrand finds himself in interesting places all the time, but he did not manage to find his way to the first. Again, barring the cameo. Alright, a lot of tanks will not pull this one to the end because the last few the last few trash in this don't actually show up until the other ones are dead. So it's kind of pointless to pull to the end here. I should have switched to Garuda. Alright, these are almost done, so I will wait. Well, actually, no, I'll do this. And then I'll pull out Bahamut on the next, so I'm actually have time, so that it's actually timing. It's cycling the timer for summoning Phoenix, if I do that. Again, the targeting issues bear their ugly head, but man, I took out that Paladin quick. Well, it's partly because of what the allies are doing. Now I'm gonna get my... getting my Phoenix summon just in time for the end boss. And because there's a second player, I'll just let this cutscene play out. Since there's a second new player, I'm not... normally I'd skip it for the benefit of the other players. But I'll let this play out this time. The Berserker! Some thought that these classes might end up being a couple of the new classes in Endwalker. They weren't. Alrighty, let's do this. Alright, a lot of things to worry about in this fight, too. Really, I do like the boss fights in this. They have some good mechanics to them. Alright. You're gonna watch out when he starts turning and facing people, because that's gonna be a line AoE. Oh, but you want to worry about that, too. I like to try to keep in mid-range on this one. Make it a little easier to dodge. I'm gonna see some lines for too long. Okay, when he does this, get up near it, but not on it. Now, you don't want to stand in that for the most part, except for one point. If you stand in that too long, you'll become Berserk. Now, when he does this attack, stay still. You need to be stacking on the rocks. Alright, now he's gonna do an attack called Wild Rampage. Just before it goes off, get into there. Don't get into it too early or you're gonna have to worry about Berserk. Alright, Raging Slice, that's the line move, so get out of his line. He's gonna do that a few times. Alright, I'm gonna res that dude. Alright, so this time, kind of get off at an angle here. Wait till he's about half, get into the hole. Once it resolves, get out. Spread out. Stay in position. Yeah, unfortunately, the other new player does not know that mechanic. Yeah, the important part when getting hit by that attack, stay still. Don't get hit. Don't move from the rocks. Because obviously you can't stack with anybody else. They have their own stack markers to worry about. here you've seen pretty much everything. The biggest thing to worry about at this point is Raging Slice, because you don't have as much of the arena to work with. I find it most useful in this to look for the little nub on his... Look for the little nub on his hitbox. Alright, this ought to be done shortly. Yay! And there you have it. That's the Hero's Gauntlet. Again, I actually do really like this dungeon, just not as a daily occurrence in the roulette. But it is a very well-designed dungeon and great for the story. Alright, well, next is actually going to be a story trial. Another spoilerific fight coming up, which I will be recording post-haste. And so until then, have a wonderful day.